seen so much hope and so much fight. And so I've heard my sisters and brothers after this ruling come down, and they said, I'm moving, I'm going to another country. And I get it, I understand it. I have my passport. My mama is still here, so I'ma stay. I know what it means. I know what it means. I know what it means to be saying, no, I'm done with this. I'm going to Canada. At least I can get free health care. I get it. I understand it. But I don't want to be anywhere else in any other country than right here in this one, right now, standing in this church. Because if a black man can stand up in front of white folk and talk about the pains and the problems of America, and you and I can look at your smiling faces and know that you are going to get up and lock arm in arm with me. If a black man can stand up in front of a sea of women and stand up and say, no more, women will have the right to be able to control their own bodies and have the right to be able to control their own destinies and have the right to be able to make their own decisions. I don't want to be nowhere else. I want to be right here. If we can live in a country where our 18-year-olds and our 13-year-olds and our 14-year-olds and our 20-year-olds can articulate justice with a sound mind and a sound heart, where our children will run out into the streets and say, no more, I will not have it. I want to be here. This is where I want to be. And I'll leave you with this. King said he was on his way to Memphis, and he said, I've heard the death threats. He said King was on his way to Memphis. As a matter of fact, they said that the pilot came over the flight on his way to Memphis, and he said, I want you all to know that we have Dr. King on the plane, and I want you all to know that we kept the plane in a secure location last night so no one would tamper with it. I want you all to know that I'm sorry it's taken us an extra hour to leave, but we had to double check and triple check everything to make sure that the plane ride was safe, because Dr. King is on the plane and there are people who want to kill him and take his life. And that was what he went through on his way to Memphis. Yeah, I know that is the reality, but he said in the midst of that, he said, but I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He said, I know what it's like to go through struggle, and I know what it's like to go through pain, but I've seen what happens when people lock arm in arm and come together. I've seen policy be changed. I've seen hearts and minds be changed. I've seen families come back together. I've seen the change that happens in the world when we all get up and move together. I've seen it. He said, so I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about what might come. I'm not worried about losing my life. I'm not worried about missing another day, because I've seen it. And I want you all to understand that although things look dark right now, I've seen the morning. I know what it looks like to walk into City Hall and demand policy change and watch it happen. I know what it looks like to have a bad district attorney and then work with a new district attorney to get a new district attorney in office who stands up and writes a statement. Our Dallas district attorney, yes, stands up and writes a statement that in this city, women will be safe. In this city, in this county, women will be protected. In this county, yeah. No, help me. I want y'all to understand that didn't just happen overnight. No. That happened because people locked arm in arm. We saw that we had a district attorney that wouldn't protect black people. We saw that we had a district attorney that didn't care about protecting women. We saw that we had a district attorney that didn't care about protecting our immigrant sisters and brothers. We saw that we had a district attorney that didn't care about protecting the poor. We saw that we had a district attorney that would rather lock us up than protect us. And so we joined arm in arm, and we got her right up on out of there. What I'm saying to you is I've been to the mountaintop, and so has this church. So if you sit here sad, if you sit here defected, if you sit here destroyed, if you sit here bogged down with pain and worry, I say you're in the wrong church. Because this church is the church that went out and found the lawyer, that changed the policy, that got the Supreme Court decision, that made them have to organize for 6 decades to defeat it. And if you can't get up and fight again, I don't know what you're doing here. Sow some seeds. Get out there and plant. Don't worry about the rocks. Don't worry about the path. Don't worry if a crow comes and plucks it up. No, because there's some good soil out there. I believe it. And if we can all unite arm in arm, hand in hand, one day, my sisters and my brothers, we're not going to come in here crying as those who have no hope. No, but we are going to cheer. We are going to cheer when we get the Supreme Court to overturn this overturned decision. We're going to cheer when we end the filibuster. We're going to cheer when we get voting rights. We're going to cheer when we get reparations. We're going to cheer. It ain't over. You're still breathing. You're still standing. It's not over. Go sow your seeds.